The defense of capitalism has changed to a moral one. Beforehand, we would hear arguments that capitalism would grow the middle class, the material conditions of those at the bottom would rise up, despite growing inequality. Just think of the technological advancement capitalism can bring. Hell, Elon Musk is going to take us to Mars, right? Well, it's been over 60 years and we haven't gone back to the moon. Consumer goods are just regurgitated, and we have a new iPhone every year. Innovation is flatlining. Elon Musk creating tunnels for cars as it's somehow cutting edge, yet we already have something which is far better. It's called public transport. Now, since the promises of capitalism has never come to fruition, the argument has shifted. Defenders of the system will say, it's the best we have. It's better than communism, which has murdered hundreds of millions of people, regardless of the facts. The reason why you haven't made it is because you're lazy, you're not smart enough, or something about a Netflix subscription. There is nothing wrong with the system, it's the individual responsibility. David Graeber, writer and anthropologist, makes the point that we've made people feel bad for those that don't pay back their debts, yet it only applies to ordinary people. If you're Trump, you don't pay them back, you become president. Donald Trump was born wealthy, in which he was given a
small loan of $1 million,
yet was still bad at business, went bankrupt 6 times, yet he's still rich and powerful. Herein lies the myth. Players in the game are all equal. Capitalism is like chess. You are assigned positions. The queen is chosen to be a queen, has the most power, has the most moves, the most tools to get out of trouble. The pawns, well, they're the rest of us. We get one move and we are there to be sacrificed for the bigger players. Sometimes, very rarely, a pawn gets to the other side and becomes queen. They are celebrated as success stories. It's true. People under capitalism can start from nothing and then become incredibly rich. But this doesn't change the fact that this is very unlikely and that the game is still rigged. Knowing the fact that people aren't better off because they are harder workers or because they're smarter, but instead because of circumstances we find ourselves in, for the few, very favourable, but for the rest of us, we play the game on hard mode. We can now understand value under the system, or rather, who creates value. The richest in society do not add value, or at least a whole lot less than workers. Yet the rich, the owners of capital, steal the money away from those that create value in society. The value comes from the workers who actually produce the stuff. Jeff Bezos doesn't deliver your parcel. Elon Musk doesn't build those cars. Bill Gates, although a very intelligent man, didn't handcraft Microsoft computers. Tim Cook isn't sitting in a factory somewhere and putting together the iPhone. When Steve Jobs died, did the company die with him? No, it's still there, making even more profits. Why? The answer? Because of the workers beneath him. That's what happens. Any CEO can die or get fired, but the company will continue. The decisions get passed down to the board of directors until a new CEO is found. Yet, what if none of the cashiers turned up? Who's going to put money in the register? What about if the cleaners don't come to work? The store can't open because it's a mess and it's unsanitary. The higher up the pyramid, you can see the less meaningful positions, and in turn, the less value is created. I could hear people say it's apples and oranges. You're talking about multiple people not turning up to work compared to just one CEO. But that's exactly the point. That one sole CEO is richer than those workers combined, generally anyway. So if it's just one person, why do they have so much wealth from it all? Why are they worth more than the workers collectively, when workers objectively add far more value? Conservatives argue that socialism or communism is using other people's money, but what they are describing is in fact capitalism. Capitalism exploits and steals the wealth from those that produce the value and hand it to the very few at the top who don't add any value. Instead, they are leeches. Of course, we've all heard people say that the rich are the job creators. We should be thankful that since without them, you'd be unemployed. This is another myth. In fact, one of the greatest myths of our time. The idea that job creation is handed down from the top is simply incorrect, and that's not how the economy works. Job creation is all relative, but you'll find the biggest source of job creation is when companies have money to spend on employment. But where does that money come from? Consumers. Consumers buy goods that create profit, which in turn is mostly kept for the rich, but a small portion may go on jobs. But if people can't afford to go out and buy things and participate in the economy in a meaningful way, then profits are down and companies make people redundant. People need money, they need jobs, but not just that, they need good quality, high-paying jobs. If companies invested more in their workforce and paid their workers well, this would have a multiplier effect. Have you not wondered, at a time of record profits, we also find ourselves in a huge crisis. This is how inequality explodes. Companies are posting bigger profits than ever, but at the same time, more and more people are struggling and there's more poverty. That's because wealth isn't created, it's transferred. And under capitalism, it's transferred from the workers, those that create value, to those that don't, the richest in society.